Shannon, how much of a pass do you give LeBron?
Well, I don't think he deserves a pass because the injury that he suffered was self-inflicted. And I can just imagine, the frustration. I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine looking at the frustration on his face, Skip, once Ty Lue tells him that they had a timeout and you see him slump in his seat and you're thinking, wow, man, look at the frustration that he's putting on display in front of the world to see. I can imagine what it was going to be like behind closed doors. Well, we no longer have to imagine because he was so upset that he punched the chalkboard and he ended up breaking his hand. Now, I would have felt better if he put that hand upside JR's head, then I'd have had no problem with it, Skip Bayless. Okay, a little problem. Because we know somebody, we know somebody went around socking people all the time, don't we, Skip?
In practice?
Yeah, okay. Skip, he was always drawing dead. We saw what happened in the 51-8 ball game in the first game, and they lost in overtime. And even with a broken hand, he averaged 29, 11, and 8. So I think he should be commended for playing as well as he did. But something wasn't right, Skip. Something was not right. You're talking about a guy that went from can't miss up into game one, going all the way back into Toronto series, Boston series, Indiana series. A guy that couldn't miss. All of a sudden, he couldn't buy a shot outside the paint. And he went from being 74%, finishing at the rim, all the way down to 59%. Like, huh? All of a sudden, LeBron can't finish. I'm wondering, why is he always trying to get to his left hand? Why is he always trying to lay the ball up on the left side? Even when he's on the right side of the rim, he's still trying to lay the ball up with his right hand. I'm like, well, okay, hey, the guy's the best player in the NBA, so obviously he knows something that I don't know. But Skip, you look at this, he only took 14 shots outside of the paint over the last 3 games. Because you remember you and I was talking about it, game one, mid-range game, clicking, letting threes go, obviously finishing at the rim. And then all of a sudden he takes 11 three-pointers. So he got to the points game 2 through 4. It was either a three-pointer or he was trying to get to the rim. There was nothing in between. And Golden State was like, hey, if you ain't going to try the mid-range, we're just going to we'll give you the 3. But we're not going to let you get to the paint. And inserting JaVale McGee was a big deterrent in that. But I knew something wasn't right, Skip. Something just didn't seem right because I'm watching him. And I know LeBron James, and I've watched almost every game he's ever played. I've watched every dribble he's almost taken. Something wasn't right. And now it's starting to add up why all of a sudden he wouldn't do anything but drive the ball and shoot three-point shots. Skip, I do not believe. Let's just say for the sake of argument for this conversation, for this topic, LeBron James has an uninjured hand. I don't believe the final outcome would have been any different. But I do believe the numbers. Okay, so now instead of averaging 34, 10, and 9, he averages 38, 12, and 11. I believe the end result is the same. So I can't give him a pass because of the injury, because he caused the injury to himself. But don't let that fool you now, Skip. We know who still the best player on the planet is, even with a broken hand.
So I've got to clean up several things you just said.
Okay.
Number one, we're having to trust, because this came from LeBron and his inner circle, that he actually hit a chalkboard or whiteboard with his hand. So you're leaping all the way to the conclusion it was broken when he, in fact, did say, according to him and his insiders, that they did MRI it, and it was not broken. It was only a bruised hand. So
That's
can
not
we
what
at
he
least?
said.
No, he didn't say.
He said basically I played the game with a broken hand.
Okay, but that's basically because it wasn't broken. So he's saying that the pain was of a broken hand, but that the hand was not broken. Okay. So let's get that straight for the record.
Okay. And
now for my biggest picture takeaway, this is just pathetic and shameful for the best player on the planet, one of the greatest players ever. This doesn't deserve any pass. It deserves only ridicule for him to come to the post-game media session and hold up a soft cast on his hand as a prop to sort of lead his blind witnesses down the path of, oh, LeBron deserves a pass and an excuse for stinking up the finals. That he stunk that finals up even worse than he did the 2011 finals in his first go-round with the Heat against the Dallas Mavericks. At least in that finals, they were up 2-1 when the chosen one turned into the frozen one. And in this one, after game one, he and his team were just flat out pathetic. They were non-competitive. I've never seen anything quite like it from a player of LeBron's greatness. So I do not believe he had anything more than a bruised hand, if that. I do not believe, as he claimed, that he pretty much played the last 3 games with a broken hand. I'm not buying any of that. I didn't see that at all. And
so you didn't notice any difference between game 1 and games 2, 3, and 4?
You know what I noticed? I noticed that LeBron James, at the end of regulation in game 1, quit on his team. I noticed that he threw a tantrum and basically threw in the towel while sitting on the bench in a way that no great leader ever would have. Any great leader, any Shannon Sharpe or Ray Lewis would have been trying to rally the troops to that point and say, we're starting fresh. It's 0-0 in game 1 at Oakland. We have them on the ropes. And instead, LeBron continued to pout all the way into the overtime, didn't even take a shot for the first 2:26 of overtime, when, by the way, his hand, according to him, was completely 100% okay then, because he slugged the whiteboard, according to him, after that game was over. And when he finally did take 4 half-hearted shots down the stretch of overtime, he missed all 4 of them, and they got blown off the floor 17-7 in overtime. I think he quit on his team. I think his team quit on him, and they were non-competitive.
What do you mean quit on him?
I think they all just sort of threw up their hands and said, that's our leader? That's all we got?
Do you realize Kyle Korver made no shots after game 1?
Yeah.
1 of 16 from the floor. Jeff Green was 29% from the floor. He was 21% from the 3. So what do you mean they quit? When did they start? In order for you to quit something, you have to
They
start.
go as their leader goes, and he went completely south on them at the end of game 1. You know it, and I know it. That was the series in a nutshell, right there on the bench that we got to see the extended footage of.
Prior to the overtime, he had gone 49, 8, and 8.
Oh, it was tremendous.
So where were they at then? You say they go as he go. He was going. So where were they then?
They were in position to close the deal and win the game.
No,
LeBron James had the basketball in his hand with 7 seconds left and little Steph Curry on him at the top of the circle. Close the deal. Take the do or die shot, the win or lose shot, a jump shot, like you just said. He was 7 of 14 outside the paint. I've never seen him shoot the ball better from distance in a big game than he had in game 1.
Well, you make my point for me.
Okay, just shoot it. Okay. Shoot the shot.
Think about this, Skip.
And he passed to George Hill? Really?
I really appreciate you making my point for me, because guess what? He was 7 of 14 from the mid-range game in game 1. He only attempted 11 mid-range shots, 2, 3, and 4. So you're making my point for me. I really appreciate that.
Here's the actual point. His inner circle has a history of leaking excuses to the media when he flames out in big playoff series, and it started all the way back in his first go-around in Cleveland, just before he took his talents to South Beach against the Boston Celtics. They were up 2-1, and chosen one went frozen one in games 4, 5, and 6. They lost all 3, and immediately inner circle leaked that LeBron had to be, and I'm just quoting what all the reporters said, had to be sedated before each of games 4, 5, and 6 because of a locker room issue with the team. Are you kidding me? I called out LeBron for that one, and I'm going to call him out for this excuse again this time.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. You say, okay, that got leaked, and it was his camp that put that information out. Now his camp doesn't put this out. He knows it's going to get out, because here's the thing. If he doesn't come to the press conference, or he doesn't acknowledge that he has an injured hand, what's going to happen is the same thing that happened after that 2010 loss. It's going to get out, and you're going to say, bull jive. So now it gets out. Well,
it got out of me. Within a couple of minutes after the game was over, it was leaked.
Because he's trying to get in front of the story. Because, Skip, he's not making any
story.
There is no excuse to be made. The Golden State Warriors have the better team. And even though they have the better team, he averaged 34, 11, and 9, and they still lost. Last year, he was 34, 12, and 10, and they still lost. So I don't believe, Skip, even if he doesn't break his hand, or if he doesn't injure his hand, or he doesn't have a bone bruise on the hand, I believe the end results would have been the same. But the fact of the matter is, it's just like Tom Brady. Tom Brady told you what happened, right?
Yeah, he was not ahead of it. He's just declaring, because the NFL actually has a strict injury policy under which you must declare your injuries. Now, Bill Belichick just
tried to skirt that system.
He just blows it apart. But again, if the NBA, this is pretty shameful and scary for the NBA now that gambling is so out there, and so readily available.
In some other states other than Vegas.
Huh?
In some other
That's
states
what I'm
other
saying.
than Vegas.
All of a sudden, we got a big NBA issue here because, at least with Iguodala, they kept saying he's doubtful, then he's questionable. With LeBron, if in fact he was hurt, why didn't you declare it? Why didn't you declare it right away? Say he's at least questionable for game 2.
In that situation, you do not let someone know, the opposing team know, hand. Because now you don't have to tell them which one. You only got 2. So they're going to be slapping. They're going to be hitting. Skip, if you notice, he never dunked the ball and grabbed the rim again. From that point on, from after game 1, everything he did, he'd lay the ball over in the rim.
Now, wait a second. I recall in game 3 that he passed to himself off the backboard and just slam dunked it, right? Mm-hmm. Both hands, right hand hard against the rim. If you have a quote-unquote broken hand, do you think you can get away with that?
Yeah, that was adrenaline pump.
Okay. Well, why didn't adrenaline pump through games 2, 3, and 4? I don't know.
Adrenaline ain't pumping.
And by the way, how did he make 22 of 27 free throws in games 2, 3, and 4 with a quote-unquote broken hand? Help me out on that one, because that's a hard shot, too, because it's more of a finesse shot.
Yep.
How did he do that? Pure adrenaline. Okay, well then why didn't he play some defense in games 2, 3, and 4 on pure adrenaline? Do you need your right hand to play defense? I didn't see him play any defense.
Skip, you and I both know if you watch the game, if you watch the way LeBron played from game 1 going back, and you look at the way he played from game 2 moving forward, he's not the same LeBron. You and I even talked about how he was not finishing over the top. LeBron was always able to finish over the top. Now, all of a sudden, he's finishing 20% lower at the rim than he did in games 1, moving back the other way. Now, all of a sudden, he can't jump. Skip, there's something wrong.
Did you see games 4, 5, and 6 against the Dallas Mavericks in the 2011 finals? You would say something's wrong. Maybe it's psychologically wrong. No. Maybe the pressure just eats him alive, and he's
a different guy then. You know that, I know that.
Well, I don't know.
He's not the same Skip. Even the staunchest LeBron haters will tell you LeBron James is not the same guy in 2011 he is today. There's no questions whatsoever about that. The MVPs, the 3 finals, says he's not the same players. The 2 MVPs says he's not the same player. The 7 straight All-NBAs says he's not the same player. So, Skip, he's not that player. You know that. I know that.
He just has a history of this in big moments, in big series, in big games. So I'm not surprised by it, but I don't want to hear another lame excuse for it.
When emotions are high, logic seems to be very low. His emotions were running rampant, given what had just happened. And so he let it, and as he said, I let my emotions get the best of me. That's what happened to him, Skip. At that point in time, he wasn't thinking clearly, because if he had been thinking clearly, they ask him why he never gets into a tussle or get thrown out of the game. I'm worth more to my team in the game than being tossed out of the game. So at that point in time, it didn't really dawn on him. I'm more important having a healthy right hand than punching this blackboard and not having one. It happens, Skip. He's not the first guy to get frustrated. We've seen guys in baseball, do things and hurt their pitching hand or hurt their pitching shoulder. We've seen that. So LeBron is not unique in this instance.
So, if his hand was pretty much broken, why at the end of Game 4, as they were swept, was there cell phone video captured of LeBron, if we could see that, going through his elaborate handshake and hand slap with his 2 sons near the bench? I mean, wouldn't that just be so painful? He's doing the whole thing. Wait. How could you do that?
He touched your fingers.
Okay,
get that video.
And then you need to put a soft cast on for the media? Are you kidding me?
If you don't mind,
I'm calling baloney on that.
If you don't mind me asking, when he was exiting the court with a little over 4 minutes, tell me how he touched KD. How did he touch Steph Curry? How did he touch Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Draymond? Did he do it with his right hand or did he do it with his left hand?
I have no idea.
I don't
really care.
Yeah, exactly. Of course not.
Because I saw the elaborate bang, bang, bang with his kids.
No, it wasn't.
If you had
fingers.
the equivalent of a broken hand, you'd be like, ah! And then you have to put on a soft cast.
Whoa!
Shannon, wait a second. The season is over. What do you need to put the cast on after the game for? It's done. It's a prop.
You
know it, and I know it. The prop came off when he drove home. Want to bet?
It was reported that he was wearing this soft cast anytime the media wasn't around.
Yeah.
If you notice when he did his interviews, his right hand was always in his lap. It never touched the top of the table. Do you remember that, Skip Bayless? So just go back and look and see at any point in time after the game or during the press conference before the game, did you see his right hand on the table or anywhere? Of course not.
Oh, that cinches it.
No.
That closes the case.
Skip.
Even ESPN had a shot of LeBron's hands hanging down by his side, his right hand versus his right hand before and after, and I couldn't really tell much difference. Like it was swollen.
You might need to get new. You might need to get new LASIK or
LASIK.
HDTV.
I guess so. So, what did the greatest player ever in any sport, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, once say about injuries? If you put on the uniform, you're 100%. And what did Michael Jeffrey Jordan do ahead of the pivotal Game 5 in 1997? 2-2 at Utah.
He had the
flu. No, he didn't have the flu. He contracted food poisoning, obviously vomiting, dehydrated, and he said, I'm putting the uniform on, I'm 100%. Nearly passed out in the first quarter from dehydration. Toughed it out, kept going, brought them from 8 down in the fourth quarter and hit the clinching 3 with 30 seconds left as they stole that game by 2 and went ahead 3-2 in the series, and it was over. Another classic game because when you put the uniform on, you just figure out how to win the game.
I've always said that. I said anytime you put the uniform
That is
on,
correct.
all they do is see the name on the back.
Yep.
They don't know what it took for you to get to that point. So they expect, if you're a great player, they expect to see greatness anytime you're on the floor, the field, the diamond, the tennis court, the golf course. That's what fans expect to see. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't injured. That doesn't mean he wasn't hurt. Skip, I don't believe, so what? Okay, he doesn't hurt the hand. He averages a triple-double, and he's somewhere around 30 to 40 points a night. All it is delaying the inevitable.